I tricked mentally ill and poor people into doing degrading stuff on camera, exactly as the title says. A couple of years ago, I was heavily into cocaine, so my friends and I would stay up all night just talking to each other in my apartment for many nights in a row. Most people who have done a lot of drugs know that playing video games and watching movies is really not that fun to do while snorting lines all night. So we started doing a lot of weird things, like this, instead. One night, for some reason we started messing with this mentally ill guy who we went to school with on Facebook who thinks he died when he crashed his car on ecstasy a couple of years back and got a major psychosis from the incident. The guy now fully believes he is dead and makes these weird Facebook rants, telling people he is seeing and talking to angels and demons and that he is dead. One night, we call up the guy, posing as a local newspaper that wants to write an article about him. He and my friend had the strangest conversation ever. He kept the conversation going for almost 2 hours, while I recorded the whole thing as an MP3 on my phone. The next day, I presented the clip to all of my friends, who were totally ecstatic, and we all think it's the funniest thing we have ever heard. We start messing with this guy almost every night after work, writing him as God, making him record weird songs from heaven and hell, making him take weird photos of himself, etc. But after a week of shenanigans, his caretaker or whoever makes him delete his Facebook account because the rants online are getting out of control. After realizing that messing with this guy was funny as shit but that we could no longer do it, we started looking for new victims. First, we start trolling our local high school's Facebook group posing as this pair of fucked up parents, but are eventually found out and kicked. Then we start trolling the local vegans selling horse meat and other stuff, but eventually they make the group private and only members they know personally can join. After that, we started trolling all sorts of local groups on Facebook. To join these local groups, you have to have an account that looks somewhat believable, so we would go on these religious boards and make posts praising God. That shit gets a lot of activity, and just start adding people until we had a ton of friends and the account would look somewhat real. The people most active on these religious boards are people from places in Africa that are very poor. And these people are willing to do anything for a couple of bucks, so we start calling up random strangers that look like they are willing to do anything for money, sending them a bit of cash via Western Union to make them try and do backflips while I record it. The crazy part is that once you send that first dollar, they know that there is more where it's coming from, and you now have your own personal gesture overseas. And they will do literally anything as long as you send them that first bit of cash. So then it became almost like a new addiction for me. I was promising these poor people a big cash prize. Of course, there was no prize if they did what I told them to do on the webcam, so I could record it. The most fucked up part is that I enjoyed doing it and found it hilarious. I used to only do it with friends so we could all laugh at it together, but later I often just sat alone, calling/writing these poor people and making them do weird and degrading stuff on webcam.